Hey guys, Alex here. It's championship week once again for Whipsnakes fans, and the Whips Nation podcast is so back with a new co-host, I might add. Max, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, Max Fleischman here. I'm going to be the co-host for season two. Really excited to get started. I was a big fan of season one, so I'm just amped, to be co-hosting. And we've got a really great first episode or pre-championship episode for you. We're going to be interviewing Jeremy Sieverts, who is the hero of last year's semifinal matchup against the Redwoods. You'll probably best remember him for that overtime goal that he hit. It was a great interview. Jeremy's a great guy, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Perfect. So before we get to the interview, let's go over some other, things that have happened in the last week. So for those of you who aren't aware, we do have a Whips Nation Discord, and we had our inaugural fantasy football draft, and then we just had week one. My team did win 116 to 87. I got really lucky. I played Leo because my team totally underperformed. And I had two guys with over 24 points and then 22 points on my bench. So not a great start, but how'd you do, Max?
I squeaked out a 1-point win.
Okay.
Kyler Murray had 34 and a half points for me. So without him, I've got nothing. I am excited. I played a lot of really good bench or players on my bench. So I had Antonio Brown, who had 24 points sitting on my bench. Yeah. I had Kareem Hunt. I had Jamar Chase. So I left a lot of points on the bench, but I was still able to squeak out a win.
Attaboy.
Gotta be happy with the dub.
Awesome.
Yep.
So we talked offline about this, but we're both kind of just getting back into fitness and the gym and everything with, things kind of opening up again. How's that going for you? What are you working on right now?
So I'm actually teaching my brother to lift. He doesn't really have like a background in weightlifting. So based on his schedule, we can only lift together twice a week. So we're doing a full body push day and a full body pull day. And then I will typically do 1 or 2 more days a week on my own, kind of working on what I feel like are my weak points. So middle and rear shoulders, a little bit of chest work, and then I always do extra work on glutes and hamstrings. So it's been a lot of fun teaching him. He's a very technical guy. He's a baker as opposed to a barbecuer. So it's everything is very precise. It's been
and
a lot of fun
measured, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So when I teach him how to grip a machine, I say, turn it this way to change the, if you change the angle, it works a different part of the muscle head or whatever. And he gets it. He's very technical like that. So it's been a lot of fun getting to lift with him. And, I've really enjoyed it. It's been great. And then his condo complex has a pretty nice gym. I have a little gym in my office here, but he's got a whole bunch more machines. So it's great to get out of the house every now and then and get to lift somewhere else and use better equipment than what I've got. So I know I've seen in the Discord chat you've got your split pretty much down.
Yes.
So you've got a 5-day split going?
5-day split, front squat Monday, overhead press on Tuesday, deadlifts on Wednesdays, bench on Thursday, and then Friday is back squat. And then I just kind of fill those days with accessory lifts. I kind of fill out that muscle group, and then just kind of rest over the weekends, take some walks, hikes, kind of that sort of thing, just stay moving a little bit, and then kind of get back after it on Monday. But shifting to PLL stuff, Rabel retired today.
Hey, I mean, I think in the back of our heads, I think we all knew that this was coming eventually, maybe this year or maybe after next season. But, in my opinion, he's right up there with, I don't really I think people throw around terms like greatest of all time. People throw that around too much. But I think he's really one of those guys that he's in that discussion, because when you look at the top 10 guys in points scored for all professional lacrosse, there's I think it's Rabel and Withers are the only middies in there in that top 10. Yeah. And Rabel's number 1 all time in points. Everybody else is an attackman. I think for him to do that, it's hard to deny that he's the GOAT. I think there's definitely, Gary Gate and Casey Powell and Jim Brown. They're guys that you can certainly have that conversation. I'm not really declarative. I don't like to say this guy is absolutely 100% the best. But for my money, Paul Rabel's got to be right up there.
Paul Rabel's incredible. He's been such a great ambassador of the sport of lacrosse, really his whole life. tons of people that I know got into lacrosse because of Rabel. They know lacrosse, they know the PLL because of Rabel. He's built a good social presence, doing huge videos with Dude Perfect, Brody Smith, a couple other ones that have, millions of views, which is cool to see lacrosse on that kind of stage. He's a Red Bull athlete. I mean, I think he probably could have played another year I think he had an off year with the bubble. Yeah. And people kind of wrote him off a little bit. And then this year, he was one of the top contributing middies on that team and playing at a really high level, I think. Yeah. But I think it's better for the league as he moves into a more, front office position, being able to sort of be more strategic and put, 100% of his time into the business side of the league, as opposed to, I don't know what that time split was, whether it was 50-50, 70-30 from being on the field, doing those shooting workouts and all the different things that he does, social, and then, league stuff. So I'm excited to see what he can do from the business side of things with the PLL.
Yeah, I mean, the work ethic of the guy is unquestioned. For him to, it's not like he's got a new role. He's still doing what he was doing before. Now he just doesn't have another full-time job of training and being a professional athlete. I think I love to see him play. It's hard to watch him go because he's a guy who's been around, since I was a kid, not really. We're about the same age, but since coming up around all the same time, it's the end of an era. He's passing it on to the next generation. I'm sure, like you said, he could definitely play another year. But he had a good season. I don't think he wants to go out being, getting one run a game. I think he had a good year, and he wants to go out feeling like, he had a good season, and he did.
Do you see him making almost like a comeback run like Michael Jordan did with the Magic? No.
Maybe
or the Wizards. I'm sorry.
Before the maybe he'll re-sign himself at the trade deadline or something to maybe when the Whips are going for their fourth straight championship, he'll hop on.
There you go. Yeah, get him a PLL championship.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think he'll come back. I mean, I think if he wanted to, he could. I just don't think when you close that door, if you're not training hard, it's really hard it's easier to maintain shape than it is to get back into shape. So depends how hard he trains in the off season. I bet he'll still work out hard. He's got a girlfriend to impress and all that stuff. But
that's right.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's going to focus on running the league, and he's done such a great job already with the PLL. I'm excited to see what he can do with it now it being his complete focus.
Definitely. So let's kind of pivot to this weekend. So it's no secret, Whipsnakes are in the championship, third year in a row against Chaos, which is a rematch from last season. And I'm actually gonna go to the game.
I know. I'm super jealous.
Flying from Arizona all the way to DC, West Coast going to the East Coast. I'm just gonna do my best, try to cover the Whips, and then give you guys the inside scoop on some things. I'll try to take some cool photos, but the inside scoop's going to be in the Discord, so if you guys aren't a part of it, link's going to be in my Instagram bio and my Twitter bio, so go ahead and check us out there. Join the Discord, talk with other Whips fans. We have a really engaged live game chat that's hilarious at times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you want to be a part of the Fantasy Football League next year, you could do that. But yeah, I'm excited for the trip, so if you guys have any good must-see DC stops when I'm there, whether it's food or whatever, hit me up. DMs are open, so let me know what's out there.
Yeah, I went to DC once when I was a kid. The only thing I remember is the Smithsonian was awesome. So if you got time, hit up the Smithsonian. But that's a pretty big, that's a tall order. So it's a big museum to see.
Do you know when that Sixes tournament is happening?
I want to say in December. Or no, is that before?
No, I think it's before the game.
Oh, it's before the game. Yeah, I do think it's before the game.
Is it on Sunday or Saturday? Because I fly in late Saturday.
I don't know. I don't remember. I do remember seeing something about it. Yeah, I remember it's random men's league teams are going to be signing up for Sixes. So hopefully they televise that or put it on YouTube or something, because that could be hilarious.
Should I bring my gear?
You should bring your gear.
Should I just be
bring all your whip stuff. I know you've got the helmet and all that stuff. Just show
Right.
up acting like I'm here to play some sixes.
That's right. Draft Alex. Job's not finished. Going to be out
Yeah,
there.
job's not finished. Yeah. Hashtag draft Alex.
That's right. Yeah, no, that would be incredible. Yeah, just bring my gear, show up as a free agent, just kind of like bop around, see if anybody needs a team. Yeah, I mean, dude, people pull a hamstring, people pull whatever. They need a replacement. So that's me, the replacement squad. So
couldn't hurt. Just pay the baggage fee.
That's right. Well, guys, we have an absolutely incredible interview coming up. I mean, Jeremy Sieverts was a fantastic guest. He brought his professional insight into what he thinks is going to happen this Saturday or this Sunday, and then kind of, gave us a little insider view of what it was like in the PLL in 2019, and then, hitting that game winner against Redwoods in 2020. So.
Yeah, guys, stick around, watch the interview. It's a great time. We all get into our own predictions as well. So, without any further ado, here's the interview.
What's going on, Jeremy? How are you?
Hey, great. How are you?
Doing well. So to update everybody, we have Jeremy Sieverts on the podcast. He grew up in Maryland, won a high school state championship there at Mcdonogh, 3 years at Maryland, drafted to the MLL in 2009, 7-time Pro All-Star, 4-time champion, 2 with the MLL, 2 with the PLL. Most recently, 2 years back-to-back with the PLL champion Whipsnakes. So lucky to have him.
Yeah,
So,
thanks. Appreciate the intro.
Jeremy, we've got some rapid fire questions for you, but before we do that, I've had a question that I've been wanting to ask you for years. The first time I met you, the first thing I was thinking was, that guy's got some of the biggest calves I've ever seen. So what's the secret to what I like to call D1 calves?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think there's probably a fine balance between just being born with it and then maybe developing them. I will say I've never focused on my calves once. I actually had a former teammate, Justin Pennington, who, if people know Justin Pennington, he had probably calves 1.5 times the size of mine. But
Okay.
1.5.
yeah, I've never focused on my calves.
Sure.
But I do appreciate the compliment. I'll take that any day of the week.
I'm sure lots of 300s at Maryland.
Lots of yeah.
So we've got a little segment that we're going to do called, we're just doing rapid fire questions here. So short answers, 1-word answers, however you want to answer it. So you ready?
Ready.
All right. Box or field?
Field.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Upper body day or lower body day?
Upper.
Upper, okay.
Oh, okay.
Going with the Cascade XRS or the Pro 7?
I go with the new one, XRS. It's cool.
Okay, cool. And then if you had one shot to win a game, who do you take? Zed or Rambo?
If it's time and room, I'm taking Zed. If it's beating a guy, I'm taking Rambo.
Great
All
answer.
right. Great answer.
So just before we get to your prediction for this year's championship, I kind of want to dive into the 2019 and 2020 seasons, if we could. What were some of the differences that you experienced in year one between the MLL and the PLL?
Well, there was a lot. I think just the general structure of the MLL and the PLL were much different from geographic markets and things like that. I got to live for 4 seasons in Denver when I played for them, which was really unique because I kind of really got to feel like I was a professional athlete. I lived in the market. I got to do a variety of things around the team. We're owned by the Bolin family, who owned the Broncos as well. So a lot of the things that the Broncos would do, the Outlaws would kind of get pulled along for as well. So golf events, Joe Sakic, foundation dinner, cool things like that. Tickets to any other sporting event in town, tickets to shows at Red Rock. So there was that sort of thing within the community that was unique to the MLL, which I think we all kind of realized that the PLL is probably moving there at some point or another. But that was probably the biggest difference going from, traveling to markets that you were maybe familiar with every time you traveled to, whether it be Annapolis or Charlotte, Ohio, Boston, on and on, to kind of traveling to different places we maybe haven't been before and having all the teams there with multiple games on any given weekend. I mean, you think about playing professionally for all those years in the MLL, you obviously were there for the game that you were playing in, but you rarely ever got to see another pro game kind of from the stands as a fan, where we were kind of given that opportunity a little bit more when you'd have, the 2 game Saturdays or whatever it may be, which is kind of a unique thing to kind of be playing in the league, but not in that particular game. I always found it to be kind of an interesting perspective. So that was obviously the biggest thing. The PLL from the start made it a priority to serve the players well and pay them well and things like that. I felt like being around the MLL, saw a lot of the good of it, saw a lot of the bad of it, of just things kind of being forgotten or neglected. And that happens. But I felt like little things I was very appreciative of, like the meals, pre-game, post-game, things like that. We weren't just getting pizzas in the locker rooms. We were getting like a nutritious meal post game, things like that. The details, I thought the PLL really, as a first year league where you would expect a lot of maybe gaps to be, they were very engaged and attentive to a lot of those details. I mean, was it perfect? Like probably not, but like they did a really good job of structuring all of that and taking care of the players. And then gameplay, there's a few pretty stark differences. I think the field, that 10 yards taken out of the middle, is a huge difference that everybody, I think, is still kind of getting used to. The shot clock being 52 is very fast. And I think generally the games are much shorter. I mean, we were playing 15-minute quarters in the MLL. Now they're 12 minutes with 1 media timeout. In the MLL, we were playing 15-minute quarters, 2 media timeouts. So Lee Zink used to always joke that you don't need to be in good shape to be in the MLL, which I don't think is entirely true. But like, you had a lot of breaks, media breaks, and then on top of that, you had timeouts by the coaches. So you could have a lot of breaks. They were fitting those games in a 3-hour window. The PLL, they're fitting everything in a 2-hour window. So The pace is a lot different. And I think that impacts the game flow, obviously statistics, other things like that. So those things were pretty big differences. And then moving the 2-point arc in, I think I honestly, I was having a conversation with somebody pretty recently about it. I don't think the teams and players themselves have taken advantage of the 15-yard arc as much as they could be. 16 is far in the MLL, and that's what it was for the entire time I was there. But they moved it to 15. I think it's in range for a lot of players. They just don't feel comfortable waiting out there and letting the ball come to them a little bit. But those are the big differences between rules and then just general structure of the league and things like that.
Gotcha. So to kind of skip to the 2020 season, I mean, you're famous amongst, Whips fans for, sealing the deal in the semifinals against the Redwoods, sort of clinching, our second berth into the championship game. Can you kind of walk me through like that play, the emotions right after, kind of just take us back to that moment?
Yeah. I mean, overall, the bubble was such a unique and cool experience. I mean, going into it, I knew that my career was kind of in its sunset, I guess. And looking back, that whole experience was just incredible. It was like a 3-week lacrosse camp with your boys and like staying in a hotel and playing and practicing every day. It was such a cool way for me to kind of put a bow on my career. But I mean, that game in particular, I hadn't had many runs, so kind of when we got to overtime, I was like, "Oh, I'm fresh," but we had our guy. Like we're the Whipsnakes, were and still are loaded at the midfield, and but we, I can't remember who got the ball first, but it went up and down a couple of times, and I was just thinking like, man, and there were some long possessions. I think, some of our midfielders, might not be able to go out for another run in overtime. And I kind of just stepped up and went in, and I don't really have a lot of specific thoughts on that play. I can remember thinking, it's a little early. I'm just going to kind of probe here a little bit and see what happens. And did I think about going left or right? Nope, just kind of went and kind of turned the corner and got downhill. And I've taken that shot thousands and thousands of times, and let it go. Saw the net move a little bit, and was excited to see it fall. I think I took like 4 shots total in the bubble, so my shooting percentage turned out, I think, to be okay. But again, it was just kind of opportunistic, and felt lucky to be out on the field, and that was just kind of a culmination of a lot of things. I think understanding going into it, and even going into the PLL, I was going to have a different role than I maybe had before with the Outlaws and whatnot, and being willing to accept that. And I think a lot of times, overtimes aren't decided by maybe who you expect, and that's because teams are engaged and not going to let certain players beat them. And I just had an opportunity and was able to take advantage of it. And afterwards, that little celebration had been in my head for a long time. So a few steps after, I knew exactly what I was going to do. So some people have asked if I was trying to do something else. Like, no, that was it. I executed 10 out of 10. So it was cool.
Awesome. So take us to the 2021 championship now. Well, give us your official prediction for what's going to happen on Sunday against Chaos.
2 familiar opponents, obviously, last year from the championship game. The Chaos have for two years in a row shown that they are able. In the bubble, they didn't win a single game in the round robin, and they have figured out a way to turn it on when it matters most. And I think when you look at professional seasons, it's about like, goal 1 is to get in the playoffs, and then goal 2 is the playoffs themselves, because you got to be there to win it, and you can't worry about once you're in, like, all slates are wiped clean. Chaos are very good. I'm gonna obviously pick the Whipsnakes. That would be terribly rude of me to not. But guys like Josh Byrne, he's just incredible talent. Obviously, Blaze has had an incredible PLL career. So I don't think that the Whipsnakes will run away with it by any means. I think, like in championship games, it is, I don't care who you are, you're nervous, because that it's hanging in the balance, and it could go one way or another from the start, and you kind of don't want that to happen, because you kind of want to be there and within striking distance in the fourth quarter. So anyways, I'm going to take the Whips. I'm expecting maybe like a Brad Smith or a John Hawes, to step up and have a big game. Obviously guys like Zed and Matt will be keyed on by Chaos, and kind of strategically, hey, they're not going to beat us type thing, but that allows for other guys to step up, and hopefully those guys do. So I'm going to go Whips by 2. Let's go 13-11.
Wow. Okay. 13-11. Max?
Yeah, that's actually pretty close to what I've got. I'm predicting 13-9 Whips. I think it's going to be a pretty close game all throughout. I agree. I think Chaos are playing really well. It can be difficult to defend because they don't really run a specific set. They run a lot of box principles, a lot of off-ball movement. But I think that one of the reasons the Chaos have been really effective this playoff is that they've been playing teams that they're able to kind of bully. The Archers are a really quick, fast, but not that big of a team. Kind of the same thing with Atlas. I don't really see I think that the Chaos have been able to kind of play bully ball a little bit. And I think that they're going to run into some trouble playing against the Whips. Guys like Rambo and Zed and Brad are pretty big guys. I think they're not going to be able to push those players around and be as effective. And I have Brad Smith as kind of my X factor here. I think he's an underrated passer. I think he had like 10 assists in the regular season, and I think he's got another 3 in the postseason. So I see Brad Smith probably with like a 2-2 kind of game, but I think he'll come up. I think it'll be close throughout, and then I think Whips probably make a nice run in the end.
I like that prediction. I think 13-9 is good. I just see this being a lower scoring game, being at a championship game. Usually the defenses step up quite a bit. It's been a long time since their week 1 matchup, so they've had a lot of time to mesh, get together, kind of sync up. And the X factor for me is probably Nardella at the faceoff, just winning 72% of his matchup against Adler in the first time that they played the season. So if he continues to dominate at 72%, more possessions in a championship game just gets you a better chance to win that game. So I see him being a huge part of that. And the final score, I have 10-7 Whipsnakes.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for hopping on the call with us. I know you're got to get back to molding the future. But Alex, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, Jeremy, I'm going to ask you one last thing to close this out here. So if you were speaking to the guys in the locker room before the game, what are you saying to them?
Oh man, I think championship games are about being yourself, and the tendency is to try to do a little too much. And I think the idea of going out and sharing the ball and being opportunistic is important. I think you got to go hunt a little bit too at the same time. So it's this fine balance of maybe overdoing it a little bit, but also holding back too much. So you got to kind of assert yourself and come ready to play. But the first 5 minutes is not the whole game, and the first quarter is not the whole game. So I've been in games where I've been down six goals in a championship, thought it can't get any worse than this, came all the way back, and then went down 7 at halftime, and found a way to come out a winner. So there, as we all know, the game's about momentums and ebbs and flows. So you just got to kind of stay in the moment and focus on the next shift and things like that, and the next play. All super standard cookie cutter things to say, but at the end of the day, it's a big moment, but don't make it bigger than it is. And it's a privilege to be there. So it's awesome to see the Whipsnakes back 3 years in a row. That's pretty incredible to be back in the championship 3 years in a row. So it's a tribute to Stags and the coaching staff and the players as well.
Love it. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And there you have it. Episode 11 is in the books, and what an episode it was. We talked fantasy football, fitness, and even had legend Jeremy Sieverts on to give his official prediction for this weekend. Be sure to follow us for future episodes and even more Whipsnakes content.